up, guys? I'm your girl, Angie Smalls. This is a new episode of Latin Affiliated TV. We are here at Street TV Studios. Shout out to Alex Alonso. We got an icon in the building. We got a Latin hip hop pioneer, Mellow Man Ace.
Yeah.
You came to bless the show.
Absolutely.
I appreciate you, man.
Yeah, no, it's been a long time in coming, right?
Yes.
Remember, I was like, I'll be on the show, and then I was like, nah,
Lots of DMs.
can't do. Yeah, I was like, I don't know,
No, it's all good. I had to get my feet wet a little bit.
I saw the growth, and I liked it.
Appreciate that.
So congratulations to you.
I appreciate that. We have a lot of mutual friends.
Yeah, you've had Jerry Garcia and Be Real and a lot of my boys.
For sure.
I did my research. I
Yeah.
did my research too. And so I salute you on a job well done.
Oh,
You know
that
what I mean?
means a lot,
and
man.
The growth that keeps going and going and going. So
Yeah, that means a lot. Yeah, speaking of Be Real, that's like your brother, that's your family.
yeah.
See you
Yeah,
on
I
Be
mean,
Real TV all the time.
A lot of stories with that guy, coming up since he was 15, I'm 16 and a half, 17, in the same breakdance crew, to, touring the world and getting stars on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, you know what I mean?
Damn.
So it's, when you see that, it's just the things we were able to accomplish. Like, we set out to do these things and we did them.
You are like one of the founding members of Cypress Hill.
Yeah.
And it originally started off as this other name, which was...
Well, look, originally it's just me and my brother are the originators who lived on the block on Cypress Ave. We turned it into Cypress Hill later. Okay?
Yeah.
But me and my brother were the ones that started recruiting everybody.
Right, and you
know
brought
what I'm
Be
saying?
Real into it.
I happened to bring Be Real because he was in my breakdance crew. And then there was Tomahawk Funk. And then the only Mexican down with NWA at the time, Crazy D, was also down with us.
Yeah.
And then we brought in DJ Julio G because he went to high school with us, even though he was from Linwood. Now, Julio G from 1580 K-Day. And then we brought in DJ Muggs as the last missing piece so that he could anchor the Cypress Hill stuff after. You know what I'm saying? But at first, I was the front man. Send Dog and Be Real were the dancers. And DJ Muggs was my DJ.
Dang, so you had quite the vision.
I mean, it's not just my vision. I think my brother and I had a co-vision, because we had seen movies like Wild Style, Beat Street, Crush Groove on the big screen. Mm-hmm. And so, as for me and Be Real, our breakdance crew was more concerned with just scamming after the battles, seeing which girl was interested in whoever and just go Mac. But I was looking at it like, wait a minute, hip hop is on the big screen now. If we do this right, we could be like that. So one day I challenged the breakdance crew that I was going to take Be Real with me. At this time, his name was still Jeep. And nobody stepped up. They were like probably thinking like, whatever, you guys ain't going to do shit. You know what I mean? And so I challenged them at the high school, took him with me, introduced him to my brother Sendog. That's how that went down.
Yeah.
And so those two they hit it off right away because I'm Sendog's little brother, but I was always more headstrong, if that makes sense.
Are you the youngest?
I'm younger than Sendog, yeah.
Yeah.
Be Real is the youngest, but he's not our brother. He's like a little
I meant like
play cousin,
between you and your brother
yeah.
and your family, your immediate
I'm
family.
the youngest brother.
Okay.
Not the youngest.
I feel like usually the youngest in the family is the one that's always like, because I'm the youngest in my family.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, no. I'm the youngest son. But, and that's kind of how that went down, you know what I'm saying? My little sister who's in the Mentirosa video, who's the star of the Mentirosa video, is the youngest one.
Oh, damn. I didn't know that. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was watching some clips of you. Was she the one that performed? Because you performed on Arsenio Hall.
Yeah. That's funny you should mention that one because that's one of the times all four of us are on stage together as brothers and sisters on the Arsenio Hall show.
And so she's actually the girl, too, doing the lyrics.
Right. Well, no, not originally.
Okay.
My little sister stepped up because the girl who actually did it got cold feet. I got a call from the Paul Rodriguez show. First show I'm ever going to do with cameras. And the Paul Rodriguez called and they said, we want you to be on the show. And I said, great. So I called the girl. Her name was Denise. I said, Denise, this is awesome, you know. Excuse me. The Paul Rodriguez show is really, you know what I mean? It's going
Yeah.
down. Shit is real.
Yeah.
Well, she had a boyfriend at the time that didn't permit her to come and do the show. So I asked my little sister, I said, hey, you think you can learn this shit? She said, I already know it. I said, for real? She's like, yeah, I love your records, bro. You know what I mean? I'm ready to do it. Let's go. We go do it, and my little sister stuck. You know what I mean? So now this girl misses her opportunity. We go all over the world with it. Wrapping it back around to the
Yes.
Arsenio Hall show. When you see the Arsenio Hall show performance, it's all of us. It's our older sister, Myra. My brother Sendog is on that one. Myself and my little sister. Now, you wonder why I did that. My dad always used to say, whoever makes it first, bring the rest of the family with you.
Dope.
So I did.
That's
And we grew up on a lot of family groups. The Jackson 5, the Jets, the DeBarges, the Brothers Johnson, the Isley Brothers. You get my point?
yeah.
There was a lot of family groups back then. And so I wanted to follow that pattern of what was going on. The Silvers, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
All that stuff. So
Yeah, no, that's dope, man. You're just pulling up your, people around you. And similarly to what you did for Cypress Hill, or within Cypress Hill. And then you ended up kind of, how did you separate, or you ended up going and becoming a solo artist?
there was three components. Number one is my father kicked me out of the house because I didn't want to hold a job because I believed in myself so much. And sometimes that's what it takes as a young person to not accept no. That's number one. Okay. Number two was Be Real was off gangbanging and playing hip hop sometimes. So he was sometime in it. My brother Sendog was busy trying to appease my father and kept a job at Kenny Shoes in Huntington Park. And so I'm like, I gotta keep this shit going. So he kicks me out of the crib. I'm living at our hood house now. Beautiful place, but just our, the family. I'm very thankful for them, although it wasn't, very clean sometimes. I'm thankful to the family, but sometimes, what I'm saying. Anyway, those three components is what made me have to go solo. Because now I have to jump into action to get back in good graces with Pops. So now I'm going here, I'm going there, I'm going meeting this one, meeting that one. And I'm going wherever it takes to find an opportunity for me to learn how to, to get on. And that's when the opportunity arose one day. My man DJ Muggs, who had been working with a group called 783 at the time, Bretty B and Sean B, from Brooklyn, New York, they were working on a record for the movie Colors at a studio in Hollywood called Delicious Vinyl. That day, DJ Muggs came on the block. I remember like it was yesterday. He had that red Lincoln, that ugly Lincoln Thunderbird from back in the day. And he's like, yo, anybody want to go to the studio? I'm like, I'm the only one here, so yeah, let's roll. We get there, and I meet two white boys come out of the back, like right here, you know what I'm saying? It's like a apartment studio, recording studio. And a cloud of smoke opens up by the kitchen, and two Jewish kids come out. One of them's name is Mike Ross, and the other guy's name is Matt Dyke. He's resting in peace now. But these two guys are known as the Dust Brothers, who would go on to produce the Beastie Boys and Tone Loc and Young MC, my first single, all that. They said, hey, man, we just started a record company, dude, you know what I mean? and Matt, love his soul. He would come out with, obscure records and shit from the back during the session. And they're like, we just started a record company, man. It's called Delicious Vinyl, dude. And we just signed a guy by the name of Tone Loc and Young MC from USC. And I was like, ooh, teacher, I rap too. I said, I even rhyme in Spanish. And they were like, Spanish rap? I'm like, yeah. They said, bust something. So I start going in on this rap that I wrote back in the day and used to battle rappers in my neighborhood. Cuando llego a la casa, esto es lo que pasa. Empiezo a gozar con toda la raza. And they're like, hold on. Dude, you're fucking dope. You're like the Spanish LL Cool J type of guy. You know what I mean? And I'm like, yeah, whatever you say. You know what I mean? Whatever you say. So they said, come back tomorrow. We're going to put you on the track. And if it sounds dope, we'll give you a single deal. And that next day, sure enough, I borrowed my mom's car because I'm broke at the time. Borrowed my mom's car. Said, Mom, I'm going to Hollywood. She said, okay, do what you got to do. Just don't, I won't tell your dad that I let you borrow the car. I said, okay, cool. I go down there. I start tracking the rhyme that I had already from all these years of battling. And they were loving it. They brought in the great Tony G, the master Tony G, to chop it all up because I didn't know nothing about how to write a hook. At this time, I could just rhyme. Tony G came in and chopped up everything, and we turned it into like 3 or 4 verses. And then because they had Matt and Mike had this rock background, and we listened to a lot of their early production on Tone Loc, like Wild Thing, right?
Yeah.
All that kind of stuff. They had this rock background. They decided to put these guitars from the Michaels band, I believe it was, into the hook of that song, and that became my first record in 1987. It was called Mas Pingon. And it's like a cult classic now, especially in the Mexican and Cuban community. So
Yeah, you got a lot of hit singles, and you really paved the way with. I think you think Mentirosa was probably what did it, what made you like a household name when that single came.
oh yeah, of course. That one reinvented the bread altogether. First of all, it opened the doors for now record companies to start checking for Latino rappers. after we sold 1 million copies, they looked at us finally at that time like, damn, the Latino market is viable. They never did before then.
Yeah.
I remember hip hop started recording in 1979. Here we are in 1989, 90 when I recorded Mentirosa. So it still has to take about a year to bubble. So we're looking at about 91 that they actually start going, oh, wow. The Latino money or the Latino influence matters. And I think that then now that's when they went to sign the Kid Frostes, the Lighter Shade of Browns, the Cypress Hills, the Beat Nuts, this one, that one down the line.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So are you hearing or tapping into what's the conversations happening now? There's a lot of conversations happening about Latinos' original role in hip hop, and
Yeah, of course. There's a big feud going on right now coming out of the East Coast. But I like to stay away from all that because I know I've been a proud dude, a proud Latino, Afro-Latino ever since I made my first record. Those guys that are arguing and bickering, I think it's because they don't have proof that they actually spoke something in Spanish on a record. So now they want to belong and kind of want to be more proud now. And I think this is a great place for me to give credit where credit is due to my man, Mr. Schick of the Mean Machine, who was the guy that I heard rap a little bit of verse, a small verse in a record in 1981. He's the one that showed me my path, my life career path. Because once I heard that record and I heard him rhyme, I said, I want to be like that guy. And I think having foresight enough to know that there wasn't an over fluctuation of that in the marketplace, I think it was a good thing for me to do. So then when it came time to track out Mentirosa and create that style, which hadn't been done, I just tapped into some old neighborhood shit, and since we had to create that style, like nowadays kids could wake up and go, I'm going to rap like this guy. But some time ago, I had to think that up. And that was probably the hardest part of creating that record because the story kind of told itself based off something I already lived with the female at that time.
yeah, that's a good point because back then the internet wasn't
No,
you know.
didn't exist.
Yeah.
It didn't exist.
So you're hearing music like you said, Mr. Schick.
Yeah.
Did you work with him?
We're going to work on something now.
Really?
Actually, yeah, I mean, this is a gentleman who's now 64, 65 years old. And I went 30 years looking for this guy after I got on tour. Every time I was in New York, I either do jams, either in the park with DJ Charlie Chase, another great and amazing pioneer legend, or I'd be playing Roselands or the Palladium with downtown Julie Brown. Whenever I was in New York, I'm asking, yo, has anybody seen Mr. Schick? Nobody ever saw it. Nobody remembers what happened to Mr. Schick. It's not until fast forward now, 34 years, last year, actually 33 years, I decided to give a shout out and a prop to him on Facebook with a picture of him and a thanking my mentor. The day after, some kid named, just cousin name, Julio Rivera contacts me and say, hey man, are you really serious about you shouting out my cousin Danny? I'm like, who's Danny? 'Cause I don't know him by his real name. He said, Mr. Schick. I'm like, come on, man. Stop playing with me. And he's like, yeah, no, Mr. Schick is really my cousin. I said, if he's really your cousin, here's my phone number. You have him call me. Next day comes, I get a phone call. It's out of South Carolina. And I'm testing this guy. I don't believe it. I'm looking for him now for 33 years. I don't believe it. I said, first of all, if it's you, kick that rhyme. He kicked it in its entirety, okay? Without fumbling, without mumbling, none of that. I said, okay, well, send me a picture to my phone. He sent me a picture. I compared them side by side with some old pictures that I had from the internet. I'm like, okay, this guy could grow into this, right? He said, look, I do graphics now. I'm a graphics for colleges and BMW. I'm gonna be coming to California to work for BMW. I said, well, what part of California? He said, Palm Springs. I said, I'm coming to meet you. So time comes, he comes in, he tells me where he's at. Me and my son drove out. I needed proof. I need somebody to hold the camera. My son comes, we meet this gentleman. It's definitely him. He knows much about the group to not be him, right? We filmed him doing the verse, the whole deal, and it was an amazing experience to finally catch up to my mentor so I could thank him, in person and let him know, like, dude, I'm the little kid that looked up to you the most. I picked up the torch 6 years later
That's awesome.
and ran with it.
What did he think about your music?
Oh, he loved it. Now, his side of the story is he's in South Carolina one day. We're just watching TV. He's watching Soul Train. And lo and behold, here I am on Soul Train with Lakeside and the Force MDs that day. This is with Mr. Don Cornelius, rest in peace, okay? It's the real deal Soul Train, not the bullshit that came after, all right? He sees me rapping in English and Spanish, and he's like, who is this kid? Song's over, Don Cornelius interviews me, Mellow Man Ace. Now he's finding out, wow, like this is the guy who picked up the torch. And I'm like, yeah. So his side of the story is beautiful the way he tells it as well, And nowadays, we just pay homage back and forth to each other because he just told the story on a podcast where after I did that homage to him, he woke up to over 650 messages from people who didn't know where he was. And now they want him to do podcasts. They want him to do shows. He's on a big documentary now that came out called, I believe it's called De La Calle or something like that, where this journalist goes throughout New York City trying to find all the Puerto Ricans and Cubans who had an importance in the first generation of hip-hop.
Dope.
So we're talking about Mr. Schick. We're talking about Whipple Whip. We're talking about DJ Disco Wiz. These are ultra legend, pioneer, bricklayer, foundation layers, We're talking about Ruby D of these old school groups, first school hip-hop. And so he did a documentary about all these guys. And because of that, that shout out, Danny was able to get on Mr. Schick. And now all these other dudes are like, damn, he's that dude. He's the only one that's got proof. He said something in Spanish. You know what I'm saying? So now he's the man 45 years later. And he's like, little brother, he shouts me out everywhere. If it wasn't for Mellow Man Ace, nobody would know where I'm at.
Wow. So you know a lot, it sounds like, about like the East Coast.
I am a true student of hip hop, period.
Okay.
And I believe in order to be a dope MC or an entertainer, you should know as much about what you do. Like if you were a mechanic, right? Well, are you going to be a half-ass mechanic? Or are you going to be a mechanic that knows about transmissions, engines, chassis, yada yada, radiators? You know what I mean? Or you're a one-trick mechanic. All you do is tires, right? So for me, I want to know as much, and this has always been how we acted and how we were on Cypress Avenue. We were always students of it because when we started doing this, the internet didn't exist. Mm-hmm. So we would have to take out newspaper clippings and stuff like that and record shows on TV on a VHS tape. For instance, the David Letterman show once had a group called the Funky 4 Plus One More on their show. And then one other day they had a group of breakdancers by the name of the Rocksteady Crew. They had Crazy Legs and Ken Swift on. We would tape these things, cut the newspaper clippings out of the LA Times, paste them on our wall, me and my brother, and then just kind of look at this whole shit. Who is this guy? Why is DJ Kool Herc important? Why is Africa Bambaataa important? Why is Grandmaster Flash important? Who are these people who are building this music that we love so much? Who is Malcolm McLaren and the world's famous Supreme Team? And that's kind of how we did it. So by the time we actually jumped on the mic, we were well versed about where this music come from, who created it, blacks and Latinos, and why it's touching our DNA like that. And I think as an entertainer, it's really, I mean, it's vital. You'll see a lot of rappers today, and they won't have that entertainment quality about them. They're like what I call one-trick pony rappers. This is the kind of rapper that'll come on stage, hold his jock, and maybe light a joint, and he thinks he's killing shit. You know, and I think there's more to it than that. There's about, can you rock the party? Mm-hmm. If you take away the screen lighting in the back, and you take away all the fucking fire explosions and all that, what do we have here? Strip it all down. What do we have? What are you doing? Are you really entertaining? Are you taking people away from their problems for your 30 minutes that you're on stage? Or are you just sitting there being braggadocious, holding your dick and lighting a joint? Mm-hmm. Now, I'm only talking about the ones that know what the fuck I'm talking about.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Not the professionals. We're not talking about the Snoop Dogg's, the Cypress Hills, the ones that really introduced that lifestyle. I'm talking about the other ones that just sit there and pretend like they created some shit.
Yeah.
And nowadays, people are so sensitive, you can't even talk to them like that. Everybody's so sensitive and overwhelmed by, am I getting an accolade or an adulation? You know what I'm saying? From my school, where we grew up learning this culture, we have to let you know the truth, man. There's no way around it. It's the only way you could get sharp. It's the only way you could become a well-rounded entertainer.
For sure. Yeah, that's a huge tip or advice for artists right now. You know, what's going to make them stand out? What's going to give them the longevity?
Longevity. A lot of kids want it. A lot of them don't know how to go get it. For instance, I have a new friend, a rapper by the name of Certified.
Yeah, I know you got a new song coming out.
We got the new joint coming out that's burning right now on the street. What's Up Fool, produced by Position, who's the DJ for Bone Thugs and Harmony. He is a true student. Certified listens to the advice that I give him and the counsel that I give him along the way of we're hanging, we're going over here, enjoying a cigarette over there, having a lunch over here. He picks my brain. And so for him to study that shows me, number one, he's interested in something more than just a record out. He wants some longevity. right? And so I gave him the advice that I won't say too much so that it doesn't blow up his spot and then some other dude does it. No free advice, motherfucker. No free advice. You know what I'm